For all things great iron and hard top, it's Kevlu and Seasons of Sandbox.
To Sandbox fans, what is going on? We have a very special episode with a very special guest. We're back with our Meet the People series, and today we have State Representative Adrian Madaro here with us today. Adrian, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Really happy to be on the podcast and be with two of the best guys in Eastie.
So, Adrian, we just want to, thank you for this opportunity again. You're so busy with the schedule and the work that you're doing. We appreciate all the good things that you do for East Boston and the neighboring cities. So, happy to have this conversation today, talk a little bit about, your background, things that you've done, throughout your tenure and things that you're still looking forward to do. And we'll get a little personal too. But before we get into the episode, we have to shout out to the loved ones at home. The wife just called you. You got Mateo and you're expecting. So shout out to all of them. I mean, I know that with work and being, in the role that you are, family isn't always, the focal point when people are always saying like, oh, we need this, the community. But that's really important. You have a great supporting cast. So just wanted to
appreciate that, brother. Definitely in this line of work, family, the family sacrifice is challenging.
Absolutely.
But I am blessed to have Ariel, my wife, who's a rock. My son, Mateo, you guys see him. He's a beast. He's 18 months old and a giant, eating us out of house and home. And really excited to make him a big brother late February, early March.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So, Adrian, do you want to just tell everybody, in case somebody's never heard about Adrian Madaro before or outside of, the Boston neighborhood, who you are and what you do?
Well, if you've never heard about Adrian Madaro, you need to do your research.
Yeah, you need to stop living under the rock you're living under.
I'm just kidding. So, no, I'm the state representative here in East Boston. Born and raised on Eagle Hill. My job is as an elected official representing this neighborhood is really about helping people. I partner with great folks in the community like these two right here to help uplift our neighbors. It's soup to nuts, right? If folks have issues like a pothole in front of their house or a street light that's out or things that are much more serious that impact lives, like people are about to be evicted and facing homelessness or need affordable housing or need help addressing food insecurity. We were just down at the soup kitchen together the other day. You guys dropped off dozens of cans for the things, right? So, it's all stuff like that. And then, of course, I am at the State House, and I am a lawmaker, right? And so the other part of the job is trying to make laws that improve our community here in East Boston and across the Commonwealth. And, of course, making sure that out of the $50 billion, budget of Massachusetts, that EC gets its slice of the pie.
Absolutely.
That's important, too. But honestly, guys, I couldn't imagine doing a job that is more fulfilling because this is the community that raised me and my mom, that welcomed my dad as an immigrant from Italy 40 plus years ago, that welcomed my wife, who's an original New Yorker.
That's right.
We forgive her for that.
As long as she's not a Yankees fan.
She is a Yankees fan. But listen, I got her on the Celtics, the Bruins, and the Patriots, so I'm doing decent.
There you go.
But yeah, this job is a dream come true, and I'm just grateful for the residents of East Boston who just recently reelected me.
That's right.
Give me another 2 years in the job, and look forward to continuing to serve the community and partner with amazing folks to make things happen.
That's right. Adrian, you do such great work, and we love that, you're so personable with us, right? Not every elected official is going to take some time and come down Nana's basement and record a podcast.
Nana's up there cooking pizzelles.
Absolutely. So she's working hard for Christmas. We're working hard for the people. That's important. But let's get into that. You talked about Thanksgiving. You, with the Madaro charity, you do the Thanksgiving dinner. So just want to, what does it take, to really pull that off? I know, people really come together. And, you've been doing that for a long time. So do you want to just talk about, that event and, some of the results you've had over the years?
No, I appreciate you highlighting that. I think being an elected official and doing the job of an elected official is one thing, but there's so much more that we can do in terms of addressing the needs of the community. And that's what led my mom, who's a longtime community activist in Eagle Hill and in East Boston, my wife and myself, along with a bunch of good folks in the community to found the Madaro Family Community Fund, with the goal of really doing more than what one single person, politician can do. We put on 2 big events in the year. Most recently, we hosted the Thanksgiving Day dinner. That has been going on for 16, 17 years.
Woo!
Yeah, which is, I didn't start it. I got to give a shout out to my former boss, my predecessor, the last state rep, Carlo Basil.
Okay, shout out Carlo.
He and his family founded that event, and I took it over. Once I became the rep. And this past Thanksgiving, the need grows every year, guys, right?
Absolutely.
And I think it's easy to look at the changes in East Boston and see the gentrification and all the development on the waterfront. It's easy to forget just how much need persists in this community. But every Thanksgiving, our numbers grow. We got over 850 meals out on Thanksgiving Day. Woo. That wouldn't have been possible without an army of volunteers, folks who live in this community, who took time away from their families, their Thanksgiving Day, and the days leading up to Thanksgiving, because it takes a lot of work to pull this thing off.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all the prep. And it wouldn't have been possible without the volunteers, but we made a tremendously positive impact, and look forward to doing it again next year and as long as I can.
Yeah, of course. And, I definitely think that, when you hear a number like that, like 850 meals this year, 850 people served, it just goes to show you East Boston's a small community. We're strong, but it's a small community. How much impact that really has. So, and that took place at the Boys and Girls Club?
At the Boys and Girls Club, and then leading up to it, we passed out about 150 turkeys to families too. Oh, wow. So, in the Thanksgiving event itself, we did 250 plus deliveries, a lot of them to seniors in the senior buildings in East Boston. We have pickup options. Or takeout, right? Which is what we were doing during COVID. It used to be fully dine-in, we serve people restaurant style, and we still did that. We brought that back this year, but we kept the takeout option because it's just, some people want to be with their family, and frankly, they want the dignity of doing their own thing.
Absolutely.
Some other people want to eat with us because they might not have family to eat with, home. Right? So for us, we don't care how people, we just care about getting the meals out and making sure folks have a good Thanksgiving and knowing that their neighbors care about them here in the community.
Absolutely. And that's awesome. Another thing you do with the Madaro charity, the EastDLs event, one of our favorites. Yeah. This has so much history because me and Kev going to Central Catholic, we used to sit there and play the bells at the event. And now we're here. We have our community toy drive that helps benefit, your cause at EastDLs. But, it's just so important because we don't know what the holidays are like for other people, right? Holidays usually just suggested, spend with your family. But, there's a lot of family problems. There's a lot of housing problems, money problems, especially in the world today. So we're happy to, help you with all of that. And every single year, we're astonished to see all the toys in the room.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, absolutely crazy. I know that there's a lot of work that, your team does. And we're just happy to, be a little bit of a part of that. It just makes us feel like we're doing the job. And we think, the reason why we do all this stuff is part of a community. We just feel like you need to give back, right? We've been in the community for over 25 years now. And these are things that I don't want to say are extremely difficult, but with the help of other people, it makes it a lot easier to do things like that. But EastDLs is back in person a little bit. You want to give everybody, a little update with that? Because that's coming out really soon.
Yeah, so obviously because of the pandemic, the past couple of years, we've done this totally remote. And these two fellas have come through with big bundle of toys every year. But this year, we're finally bringing it back in person. It'll be December 9th at the Hyatt at the airport, 6 to 10 p.m. The admission is just one new unwrapped toy for a kid in need. Once you bring that toy, there's food and a band and Central Catholic carolers and playing the bells and dances, and it really is an awesome kickoff to the holiday season. And I agree, the visual of seeing that toy room is crazy. There's thousands of toys in this room, and it brings you back to being a little kid at Christmas and the joy that I get knowing that all those toys are going to go to kids who are less fortunate, to make sure that their holidays are good. And I just have to pause and say, Kevin, Steve, you two blow me away because you both work with youth. You're both young men, exceptional gentlemen who were born and raised in this community. And I am constantly impressed at how much you all do for our neighborhood and how much you give back. And I think you hit the nail on the head. It's not enough just to be a resident of a place and to say you love a place. And it's real easy, frankly, to complain about things. It's a lot more challenging to roll up your sleeves and try to be part of the solution and try to improve community and help your neighbors. And year after year, you guys do that through your work with young people and mentoring them and getting them ready to be successful in life. But also, you quietly do things in the community. Dozens of cans dropped off to the soup kitchen for Thanksgiving. Big bundles of toys for Eastie's Elves. And these are just two of the small things that you guys do. I know throughout the year you're constantly doing stuff to help out our neighbors and to improve East Boston. And I really think you're exceptional role models for the young people that you work with each and every day. And I thank you for that.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, your words go a long way, but it's people like you that motivate us to do that work. And we know what it's like to be a part of the Eastie community. And I know that a lot of residents would say that it's changing and this and that, but there's still people here that can keep Eastie traditions and Eastie camaraderie going on while new things happen and differences occur in the city. So I think that's extremely important. And Eastie's a very strong community, you know, very tight-knit, and, you know, it's built off of immigrants and, you know, so much internationality. And I think that that's something like Eastie has to just continue to pride themselves on. Regardless of who's coming in, what's going out, you know, all the growth in East Boston that we've seen over the years might have been, you know, a little rapid for some of the people that have been here their entire life, but it's for the greater good of Eastie for the future. Yeah. And that's what people, you know, obviously need to understand, and that's why we do what we do, just to make sure that people still remember what Eastie is, what Eastie's like, and that's why we like to obviously help you with that. But Eastie's always been going on for 9 years now.
19, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
So similar to the Thanksgiving event, this isn't one that I started. Right. Former State Senator Anthony Petrocelli.
Okay.
Shout out to Anthony.
That's right.
He and his family founded Eastie's Elves many years ago, and you know, when he sailed off into the sunset and left elected office, just like I inherited the Thanksgiving event, I just thought that this Eastie's Elf tradition was too important to not continue. I think we were all fortunate growing up in this community. Not like any of us had a ton of money, but you know, we had families that made sure that we had some things to open on Christmas, and that you know, the holidays were a special time for ourselves and our families. But that's not the case for everybody. And you know, I just thought continuing this tradition was the right thing to do, because the holidays should be a happy time for all kids in East Boston, no matter where they come from and what their socioeconomic status is. And just like the Thanksgiving event, we continue to grow Eastie's Elves year by year, and the need continues to grow.
It does.
So you don't only need to come and bring a toy to the event, by the way. There are toy collection boxes all throughout East Boston at restaurants, businesses. So follow the Madaro charity on social media, and you can get a list of the locations. If you're unable to make it on December 9th, just drop a toy or two off in one of the collection boxes in any of the businesses in Eastie, Winthrop, and Revere, which are the communities we serve with that charity.
That's right. And also on that Instagram page, if you have, you know, some concerns about what to get or who to target, that's also there too. You know, you got your toddlers with some gift ideas, you got your teens with some gift ideas. So it's all right there for you.
Yeah, and I will say, infants and teens, we always are short on things. So if anyone is wondering what age group to target, the youngest and the oldest, right? That's where we always need some help.
I gotta say, but before we get to the next section of the podcast, I was in Meridian Market the other day. You know, we sell.
They got a box.
They do. They sell the Born and Raised T-shirts there. Yeah. I told Freddie Noviello, I said, I'm gonna bring all my toys here, because he said he was gonna match all the donations.
Well played. Well played.
Freddie, we're coming for you.
He got you, Freddie.
But no, guys, it's really easy, really simple to, you know, make that impact. Go to Target. You know, you guys are there getting, you know, your goods and everything you need for the house. Make that impact. You know, you don't know how far that gift can really go. You know, there's really some kids and some families that can't afford that with, you know, the way that the economy is today. So that impact, you know, will definitely carry tremendously. All right, guys, we're jumping back into the podcast. We heard a little bit about the Madaro charity. And now, you know, Adrian, we're going to touch upon, you know, your background a little bit. And, you know, you're so prideful being born and raised in Eastie, Boston Public Schools. So we just want to dive in a little bit more about that, because the kids in East Boston High, the kids at the base, you see them walking around their Chromebooks. They got the Sense of Sandbox stickers. They got the lanyards hanging out their pants for their keys and their cards, their Charlie cards and everything like that. So just want to hear a little bit of your backstory and how it all kind of happened for you. So what started the journey to get here today?
So first of all, I got to give a shout out to my amazing parents. My dad, Jacopo, immigrated here from Italy like 42, 43 years ago with not much. And, you know, my mom is also from this community. My mom's side of the family are kind of longtime movers and shakers in the neighborhood who have fought for generations to make East Boston better. So what really inspired me to get involved in community activism and in government really is my mom and her family. You know, my dad isn't as involved in this stuff. In fact, he can't even vote for me. You know, when I was running, he's not a citizen. He's just still a citizen in Italy. And when I was running in 2015, he said, you know, I was like, Papa, please, you know, register to be a citizen. I'm going to need your vote. And he looked at me and he said, if you come down to one vote, you did not do your job.
Wow. I mean, it's a good point.
Hey,
good point.
That's tough.
He's old school.
Yeah,
old
I
school.
love that. Yeah,
You know, but on my mom's side, I grew up attending local civic association. She's been a longtime head of the Eagle Hill group, kind of attending protests against runway, airport expansion, building new runways, things like that. I mean, we are a community that is heavily burdened by the airport, right? We have some of the highest rates of childhood asthma, some of the highest rates of adult COPD, as well as a whole host of other issues. So I grew up kind of really plugged into fighting for the community. Never really had any political aspirations, right? Never really thought about government as a path, but it was all through an internship, you know? So to any of the youth listening in today, if you're interested in government or in politics, get yourself an internship. We host high school students in my office. We host college students. We host anyone in Eastie who's interested in learning about government. So, you know, if you're interested, please don't be shy. Don't hesitate to reach out. That's how I got my foot in the door. And I realized that through an internship at City Hall, really the powerful connection between government and community activism, and how government can leverage the tools at its disposal to uplift those voices and to really affect the change that many people on the ground are fighting for. Really, I was 17 years old and I got bit by the bug, right? And I knew I wanted to work in government. You know, then went off to college and did some internships down in D.C. and Capitol Hill, and realized that really wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to be, kind of missed the connection, the local connection on the ground, being with people. Then, you know, when I was a senior in college, on a whim, I applied to work for Carlo Basil, my predecessor, and he hired me. That was a day he has regretted ever since. I'm just kidding. And I worked for him for almost 6 years, you know, as his entry-level staffer and becoming his chief of staff. And when he took a new job in 2015, I ran for the seat, and I have loved every minute of doing what I do. And I really think that things have come full circle for me because, you know, there's a photograph my mother has in her house. I'm 12 years old. I'm in jeans, a hoodie, and a fitted ball cap pulled way down. I'm in front of the State House with like dozens and dozens of Eastie residents. And we're protesting at the time. There was this runway they were trying to extend called Runway 1432.
Okay.
And May Menino was there having the communities back. Needless to say, make a long story short, we lost that battle. They built the runway. But 15 years later, I go inside the State House, on the floor of the House of Representatives, fighting for those environmental justice issues that we used to be protesting, right? And I wrote what became the first environmental justice law ever passed in the history of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Wow.
So that was like a real full circle moment for me. And, you know, it's just a privilege of a lifetime to be able to be that type of advocate for East Boston on Beacon Hill.
Adrian, that's awesome. And I didn't know that, so that's good information to know. But when you were talking about your dad, you just had a trip to Italy, didn't you?
Yeah,
so
my
how
family
was
and
that?
I went. And so my dad is the only member of his family to come over here. All his family, and he's got a big family, they're still all in Italy. And so we used to go every year. I would go in the summertime in July and you know, connect with my cousins, my aunts, uncles, my family. I hadn't been in 13 years.
Oh, wow.
Right? So my family had never met my wife. They had never met my son, Mateo, who was 18 months old. So my mom, my dad, Ariel, Mateo, we all went down to Italy. We were there for like 2 weeks plus.
Good for you.
I saw so much family. It was like, I didn't realize how much my soul needed to reconnect with my roots and with that side of my family. And of course, Mateo was the star of the show. He's a handsome little devil, you know, and he's a ham. You know, he works the room. He's like the little mayor of East Boston.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it was really, really special, and particularly to have my wife and son meet that side of my family.
That's incredible. I'm still trying to go there. I have, when I post, like, you know, my nonna or my nana, you know, they obviously have big roots in Italy. I get the cousins from Italy and Switzerland commented, and you know, I'm dying to get there.
We gotta get out there, man.
Yeah, we were supposed to go when I graduated college. My cousin, because I was a senior, my cousins were a junior. We were supposed to do that all as a grad gift, and then obviously, you know, COVID happened. Italy was severely impacted by that. So, but we will get there eventually. My nonna always says, when me and Danielle get married, that's where we have to go for a honeymoon. So
no doubt about it. You guys definitely got to get out there, though.
Yeah.
There's something special about connecting with your roots and your heritage like that.
Of course.
Know? And it's a feeling that's kind of hard to describe. You just got to live it.
I bet.
You know?
Yeah, my taste of Italy is the north end and upstairs.
Well, you got a good taste, but not upstairs, you know.
Absolutely. But Adrian, you know, your passion on the journey, would you say, you know, that really began, you know, when you had that internship? Or would you think, you know, like you were talking about, you know, the roots with your mom and the community and that picture at the State House, would you say that really stemmed your passion?
I think my passion for East Boston stems from an early age with my mom and her, and I give her a lot of credit. I mean, she dragged me to 1,000 community meetings and protests on air. I mean, all that stuff, right? But also in the service thing. Just like you guys help out on Thanksgiving, help out on the holidays, My mother had me, even if I wasn't too into it when I was young, she had me attending these things and making sure that I was giving back and helping out my neighbors who may be a little less fortunate. And without realizing it as a young person, like those lessons really did have a huge impact on me and shape me into the man I am today. Whether I was an elected official or not, I know I would be doing something to help people, right? Because that's what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about helping people. I'm passionate about uplifting East Boston and doing whatever I can for my neighbors. You don't need to be a politician to do that. You guys do that all the time.
Absolutely.
Right? And many neighbors do that all the time. But yeah, I credit my mom with the passion for giving back to East Boston, and definitely that internship for a passion in government, because that was, I had no exposure to government before then, and that definitely put me on the trajectory I am today.
We love that. We definitely love that. Now, this one's going to go for all of our high school athletes and anyone that's a BPS graduate. Adrian, you attended Boston Latin School. So do you think, being a part of the system and what you work with and what you see so often, you're visiting East Boston High often, you're visiting these schools all throughout East Boston. East Boston has so many schools that are part of Boston Public Schools. Would you say being a BPS student, makes you kind of feel like more of that need to create, great opportunities here in East or Boston in general?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I mean, first of all, this is an old saying, but I think it holds true. Education is the great equalizer, right? I was incredibly fortunate to have an educational opportunity at Boston Latin School. It was Latin School that gave me that internship in government. It was Latin School that gave me the foundation to get to a school like Tufts, which growing up in the neighborhood, I probably never would have envisioned myself at a school like that. But it also gave me a window into the rest of the city. I mean, I think you guys know what I'm talking about, but EC tends to be a little island, right? Like, we don't leave
Literally,
EC. Going in town is a big deal, But when I went to Boston Latin School, my whole world was kind of opened into all the different neighborhoods and the challenges that people face in those neighborhoods. Some of my best friends who are not East Bostonians to this day, buddies of mine, from Boston Latin School, from the football team, from different activities I was involved in.
Did you play football?
I did play football.
Okay, that's good to know. What position?
I was a grunt, fullback and a middle linebacker.
Hey.
I did all the work for the tailback to get all the glory.
There you go. That's how it is.
That's why Adrian's hard nosed right now. He knows what it takes.
My tailback, Alan, if you're listening today, don't forget all those touchdowns you scored is because I cleared the lane for you.
There you go. There you go, Alan. The truth comes out.
When Kev hears Alan in football, he's always talking about Josh Allen. Shout out to Alan from Latin School, man.
You're a Josh Allen fan?
I'm a Buffalo Bills.
No, don't tell me that. Come on, we got a big matchup coming up.
Oh,
Imagine Adrian, he's not even going to go to the game. I'm going to the game.
Oh, I like that.
Right after
went
school on
last
year.
Thursday,
I like that.
Nana chefing something up. Me, Danielle, and my cousin Ben, who's actually working remote right across the street. We're going to hop.
See, now, you talked about going to Italy. Last year, I went to the Pats Buffalo game in Buffalo. Now, that's like...
How was that?
Talk about...
They're nuts.
Oh my God! It was an experience.
I want to be in that environment.
Yeah, it was an experience like no other. Snow, blizzard, people outside. It was a Monday night game. People are at the tailgate at 9 a.m. It's snowing. People, it's crazy. It's like
I gotta have that experience.
I'm literally sitting there. I'm like, doesn't anyone around here work? Don't you guys work? Like, no, it's like a national holiday.
The Bills just work.
Yeah, like, it really is. It's like a national holiday.
All the employees give them the day off.
Yeah, serious.
No, it's funny because I tend to think that we're good fans, in Boston, but I think U.S. fans generally are not the best. And, I had an opportunity to go to Columbia a few years ago and went to a soccer game. And the environment there was
crazy.
like, it was like the stadium was like rock. I didn't know what the hell was going on, but I was enjoying every moment of it because the energy was just insane,
Yeah.
But I bet the Bills fans have that type of energy based on what I see.
Yeah. They probably do, but I see that often now with the World Cup going on. It's just like I got to get to like an international soccer game. Like, looks absolutely
honestly nothing
crazy.
like it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can only imagine. But Adrian, you talked upon your internship at City Hall. You talked about studying at Tufts. Just want you to give a second to any high school student, college student, or someone that's looking to pursue an internship that might want some advice or might be a little bit lost and wants to get, rekindled on the proper direction. So what's something that you would say to those students?
First of all, if there's ever anything I could do for a young person in this neighborhood, never hesitate to reach out because, but for the older folks who took care of me, reached out and gave me a helping hand, encouraged me to do internships, encouraged me to pursue different opportunities, I wouldn't be the state rep for East Boston today. And so I think, and I know you two agree with me in this sense, we constantly got to reach back and help those and the younger generations, uplift them and make sure they have the same opportunities we've been, granted. But I mean, beyond that, I think everyone, and you guys may have had this feeling too, but young people tend to get a feeling that their voice doesn't matter, right? Oh, adults won't listen to me because I'm not voting age. I'm not an adult. I'm not this. The reality is, young people are our future. They're our present and our future, right?
Absolutely.
And any adult, particularly in a position like mine, would be a fool not to listen very closely to what young people are saying, because the pulse young people have on community is often the best pulse you can get. And so don't ever let age be a barrier. That's just mental, right? But it's not real. And just try to gain that courage to reach out, ask questions, seek out mentors like these two incredible guys right next to me, right? And of course, again, if there's anything I can ever do, I'm here for you.
Yeah, and something that I always share, to the Eastie students, to the base students, I obviously worked at the Boys and Girls Club before this. I was the team director for some years. And, after that, I transitioned to East Boston High a little bit. And I never thought I'd be back at East Boston High as an employee. I never thought that I would be at the base after being, a player there. And the way that you carry yourself at 14 through 19, that might be, some of the most important years about, character and learning who you want to be. The respect that you have with your teachers, the conversations that you have with staff, and also with current students, coaches, all of that matters, in determining the person that you're going to be. So I stress that, extremely importantly, because I wouldn't be in the position I am today. And I'm just a regular guy. I stress that all the time. Just a part of a community looking to help people, right? But you can pursue things that you want to do while still giving back in that manner. So I always stress that to the students. One more question before we get into the Since the Sandbox session, a little bit more tailored to, what we do on our podcast. What are some things you're working on for the people in our community in the future of East Boston? I know that this is a loaded question.
Yeah. A lot. There's a lot that I could go on here. I mean, look, Eastie's a dynamic neighborhood that is constantly changing. We are kind of the immigrant neighborhood, not only for Boston and Massachusetts, but really New England. In fact, Eastie has welcomed more immigrants through its port than anywhere else in this country, second only to Ellis Island.
Shout out Eastie.
Right. Eastie. In Ellis Island, they celebrate that. But in Eastie, we should talk more about that, because really our diversity has always been our strength. And that's a note that you touched on before. But that also makes it a little challenging to manage kind of such a diverse community where people come from all walks of life and might have different perspectives on things and different views on the challenges and priorities that we all have, right? And so my role is to try to figure out what the best path is forward. Basically, we're an island, so naturally we have transportation challenges, not just with the airport, but to get anywhere in town to access our services, we got to go through a tunnel.
Absolutely.
Right?
Or a bridge.
Or a bridge. Yeah. That tunnel's about to shut down, not just on the weekends, but for 4 months straight.
I'm sure you've heard plenty of that.
Oh, my God, right? So figuring out, alternatives, like we got the ferry up and running, right? Where it's the same cost as the T. That was an important step to kind of mitigate the impacts. I got to give a shout out to former City Councilor Sal Lamatino, who was one of the original folks to spearhead that ferry initiative. You couldn't get it done, Sal, but don't worry, I got it done.
Shout out to
Sal.
Uncle Sal.
Uncle Salvi.
I always think it's so funny. I don't know if you guys see it. Every single time, Sal's posting on Facebook or something like that, someone always comments please, Sal.
Well, that's his famous line.
Please. Yeah, no, love Sal. Eastie's really been fortunate to have incredible electeds over the years that have mentored me. But yeah, so transportation challenges. And I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you live in East Boston or anywhere. People want good schools. They want to feel safe in their community. They want to be healthy, right? They want to not have inconveniences to get to work, to get to, the supermarket, to get to here or there. And really, at a high level, we're just trying to make sure that East Boston can be the best community to live, to recreate, to raise a family like I'm doing now. Then I'm here for the long term. So right. Whether or not I'm your state rep or an elected official, I'll always be in the trenches with these fellas and with so many